And I now would like to make concluding remarks in my capacity as representative of the Russian Federation. Distinguished colleagues, the Secretary General pointed out, and rightly so, in his report on Security Council Resolution 2334, when he said that the regional conflicts are interlinked. And this was also mentioned today by many other speakers. At the same time, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is iconic in nature, and its continuation helps feed the extremist agenda. I fully agree with Mr. Guterres when he said that that is precisely why it is of critical importance to create the conditions to bring the parties back to substantive negotiations. In this regard, I would like to recall yet once again that we have an initiative to hold an Israeli-Palestinian summit in Russia, and we had a proposal to send a Security Council mission to the region. It's becoming increasingly relevant to intensify the work of the Middle East Quartet of International Mediators. And the starting point, we are convinced, in order to start the collective work, should be the strict adherence by all to the international legal basis for the solution of these issues, the basis which has been worked out by the Security Council, namely renouncing unilateral steps, including settlements on occupied territories and the cessation of violence. This is the only way we will be able to open up a prospect for a two-state solution through negotiations of final status issues. What will be needed also will be the improvement of the humanitarian situation in Gaza under the control of a legitimate Palestinian government. We will need also to intensify efforts in order to achieve Palestinian unity. The conflicts in Syria and Yemen are also waiting to be enduringly settled. On the Syrian track, Russia, as well as other guarantors of the Astana process, genuinely contributed to stabilizing the situation in the country and ensuring it is not taken over by terrorists. Now, we have an opportunity to focus on the political process under the aegis of the UN in Geneva. And for that, constructive efforts by all external actors are needed. At the same time, and as is stipulated by all the Security Council decisions and various international formats, a relentless fight against terrorism has to be continued until such time as they're completely stamped out in Syria. I listened to very carefully and with a great deal of respect to all of those who took the floor before me, including the statements made by the distinguished representatives of the United Kingdom and the United States, who expressed their concern related with the fact of what is happening in the southwestern de-escalation area. In that area, active negotiations being underway on peace negotiations with those groups which reject terrorism activities, and combating terrorism themselves is continued. The Russian Federation is committed to its commitments, including when it comes to the cessation of hostilities regime. There is no one who is doing more than Russia here. Russia, together with the Astana process partners, has done more to ensure that there is a cessation of hostilities and violence there. Certainly not those countries who provide the armed groups with money and weapons. I'd like to recall that the de-escalation areas, including the de-escalation area in the southwest of Syria, which Russia set up in coordination with the United States and Jordan, were not at all created in order to divide, to partition a member of the United Nations and to make sure that the terrorists take root there. Nonetheless, I have to unfortunately state that to date, more than 40% of the territory of that area is still under the control of the Jabhat al-Nusra and ISIL groups, which are, as you well know, are terrorist organizations according to the UN, and there is no cessation of hostilities between us and them. At the same time, we have to note that in the course of this year, after this de-escalation area was created in the southwest of Syria, the United States, in violation of the commitments that they undertook, have done nothing in order to support our fight against terrorism. Now, turning to the crisis in Yemen, I would like to reiterate once again that it has no military solution, and it's only taking into account the opinions of all of its participants will enable us to attain long-term settlement. And we support contacts with all conflicting parties and assist the Special Representative Griffiths. What requires special attention is resolving the severe humanitarian and food crisis in the country. Significant international efforts are needed in order to bring new energy to the political process in Libya, in order to create unity of the country, create a single set of government and security structure, and put an end to internal infighting. A lot needs to be done in Iraq to help them overcome the consequences of the war with ISIL and attaining lasting national reconciliation. In conclusion, I would like to express a hope that our debate today will be a contribution towards strengthening peace and stability in the Middle East and North Africa. Thank you. Let me now resume